The phone call came on a Tuesday, shattering the tranquility of Emily's world. Her husband, Mark, vibrant and full of life just that morning, was gone. A reckless driver, a blind corner, and just like that, their future together vanished.
I felt like the ground had been ripped from beneath me, leaving me adrift in a sea of disbelief and despair. Mark's laughter still echoed in my ears. His scent lingered on his pillow, but the agonizing truth was inescapable. He was gone.
The life they had built, the dreams they had shared, all reduced to shattered fragments. Emily found herself adrift in a world that felt alien and cold, the weight of her loss crushing her spirit.
The funeral was a blur of tearful faces and whispered condolences. I moved through the motions mechanically, my heart numb. The house, once filled with Mark's energy and laughter, now felt unbearably empty, haunted by the ghost of his presence. Loneliness wrapped around me like a shroud, suffocating me with its icy grip.
The house on Willow Creek stood silent, cloaked in a palpable sadness. Emily, lost in her grief, found solace only in the memories that clung to every corner. Mark's favorite armchair sat empty, a silent testament to his absence. His coffee mug still rested on the kitchen counter, a poignant reminder of their shared mornings.
I had loved my son deeply, but expressing my grief openly wasn't my way. I grieved in the silence of my workshop. The scent of sawdust and varnish, a poor substitute for the comfort of my son's presence.
Their relationship had always been cordial, marked by mutual respect, but lacking true warmth. Emily, still grappling with the shock of her loss, found solace in her isolation. James, unsure of how to bridge the chasm of grief that separated them, retreated into his own world of silent mourning.
The distance between us, once a formality of our roles, now felt like an insurmountable barrier. I yearned for a connection, a lifeline in the storm of my grief.
My heart heavy with unspoken sympathy, I longed to offer comfort but hesitated, unsure of how to navigate the delicate terrain of her pain.
Days turned into weeks, each one a painful reminder of Mark's absence. James, driven by a father's unspoken need to be near his son's memory, started making regular visits to the house on Willow Creek. He would arrive, his weathered hands clutching a casserole dish or a freshly baked pie, his presence a comforting if awkward intrusion on Emily's solitude.
At first, our conversations were strained, filled with silences that spoke volumes about our shared loss. I was still raw from grief, finding it difficult to articulate the turmoil that raged within me.
I struggled to find the right words to express my concern, my gruff exterior hiding a well of empathy.
They would sit across from each other at the kitchen table, the ghost of Mark's presence hovering between them. They spoke of trivial things, the changing seasons, the latest town gossip, their words a fragile bridge over the chasm of their shared grief. Yet, beneath the surface of their everyday conversations, a silent understanding began to bloom.
One rainy afternoon, as we shared a pot of tea, I broke down, tears streaming down my face as I spoke of my fear and loneliness.
James, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears, simply reached across the table and took her hand in his. No words were spoken, none were needed. In that simple gesture of human connection, a bond began to form, forged in the crucible of their shared sorrow. One evening, as dusk painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, James arrived with a dusty old photo album tucked under his arm.
Found this in the attic. Thought you might like to see some pictures of Mark as a boy.
Emily's heart ached at the sight of the faded photographs. There was Mark, a gap-toothed grin on his face as he held up a prize-winning pumpkin. There he was again, his hair tousled by the wind, his eyes sparkling with mischief as he perched on the branch of an apple tree.
Look, Dad, I won first place!
As they turned the pages of the album, sharing stories and anecdotes, laughter filled the house on Willow Creek for the first time since Mark's passing. Emily learned about Mark's childhood adventures, his mischievous pranks, and his unwavering love for the outdoors. James, his eyes twinkling with remembered joy, delighted in sharing stories of his son's younger years.
I never knew he loved climbing trees so much.
Oh, he was a little monkey, always up to something.
For a few precious hours, the weight of grief lifted, replaced by the warmth of shared memories and the comforting echo of laughter. It was as if Mark was present in the room with them, his spirit kept alive through the stories and photographs they shared. In that shared space of remembrance, Emily and James found solace, a connection that transcended their sorrow. As the weeks melted into months, a comforting routine began to emerge. Sunday dinners at the house on Willow Creek became a tradition, a time for Emily and James to connect, to share their grief, and to celebrate Mark's memory. Emily would spend her Saturday afternoons in the kitchen, the aroma of her baking filling the house with a sense of warmth and normalcy. James would arrive early, his arms laden with fresh vegetables from his garden, or a bottle of wine he knew Emily enjoyed.
I brought some tomatoes from the garden, and your favorite wine.
Thanks, James. Let's get started.
They would cook together, their movements in the kitchen a silent symphony of shared grief and unspoken understanding. The clinking of dishes, the sizzle of onions in the pan, the comforting aroma of spices filling the air, all served as a balm to their wounded souls. At the dinner table, they would talk about their week, their conversations no longer strained, but filled with a comfortable familiarity. They spoke of their work, their families, and their hopes for the future. Sometimes they would reminisce about Mark, sharing stories and memories that brought both laughter and tears.
Remember the time Mark tried to cook Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, how could I forget? The turkey was, well, let's just say it was memorable.
These shared meals became a lifeline for both Emily and James. In the warmth of each other's company, they found solace, a sense of belonging, and a reminder that they were not alone in their grief. The food they prepared and shared became a symbol of their bond, a testament to the healing power of human connection in the face of loss.